once the railways stop and then they announce that they will be shut down for a while, that is extraordinary. This is a country where if your train is maybe 10 or 15 seconds late, you start to question it. You start to wonder what's wrong. So when a rail line, and there's an extensive rail system here in Japan, when it's completely shut down, that signals that there is a national emergency going on, and certainly that's what Japan is experiencing right now.
And as you mentioned too, it is very difficult to confirm information in a situation like this. It's ongoing. This is not over yet. People are still waiting for more waves, more tsunamis there in Japan and right across the Pacific Rim. But we were hearing information a little earlier about confirmed deaths, 8 confirmed deaths. But unfortunately, I mean, that number will rise in this sort of situation.
I can tell you from listening to just the various national newscasts here, many people are saying that the number is much higher. We have not been able to confirm any numbers, but certainly when we're talking about a magnitude, an earthquake of this magnitude, an impact region that is so wide, we're expecting that there could be a rise in those initial numbers.
And of course, the witness reports we've received from people there in Tokyo, as you point out, and as they pointed out too, a very different situation for people in Tokyo. It's a very sturdily built city, 13 million people, as you said, and for those people, they're very calm. But of course, it's along the coastal areas because of these ongoing tsunamis where the danger is. And what sort of mechanisms are in place for people when those waves do come ashore?
Japan is built with an emergency broadcasting system, and as soon as there is a tsunami warning or alert issued, there is an immediate bulletin issued, whether it be via mobile phone, television, radio. This is one of the most plugged-in countries in the world. There is vast wireless access. Almost every single person you meet has a wireless phone. So if that alert goes out, it is a message that is received. And this country prides itself on getting the word out very quickly. The problem that we have here is because we're talking about such a large tsunami, such a large earthquake, it's very difficult to respond to a very large emergency like that. So the country can try to be as prepared as possible, but you can't prepare for everything. I can tell you from being along the coastline that when you stand on the coastline, something that you notice in Japan is that there are actually gates built into the concrete. There are not the wide, sandy beaches that you might expect in an island. There are huge concrete walls. There are concrete gates that immediately close once there's a tsunami alert issued. So this is a country that tries to prepare for a tsunami, that has been affected by tsunami, that has had people die from tsunamis in its history. So it does try to prepare for that. But again, what any emergency personnel will tell you is that we can prepare for the worst, but we can't prepare for everything, especially when you talk about a large event like this. We're starting to see even more devastation, more pictures coming through, and we're expecting much more of this to come in, what you're watching on your screen here, because everybody has a camera, everybody has a mobile phone. So we're anticipating this is something that we're going to see being shared across the country. Many, many people felt this earthquake here in Japan today.
Most definitely. Kyung La reporting there from Tokyo, our correspondent there covering the whole of Japan. Want to just recap you very quickly on what we know. We don't have confirmed figures of casualties at this point, although we did hear from NHK television a number there thrown around of 8 people, but the problem here is, of course, that will rise. And we know at this point that the tsunamis keep rolling in on the coastline. It's not only Japan being affected by this. There are many countries, 20 or so involved: Taiwan, the Philippines, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, Hawaii, Australia, Marshall Islands, Russia, Guam, the list goes on. There you see the Pacific Rim. All of those countries within that area are under warning and threat of tsunami reaching the shore. So people are advised at this point to seek higher ground if that it is at all possible. That is where you will seek safety if you can get to higher ground. That's the best advice that people can give. We heard that from authorities there in Japan saying to people make your way to higher ground if at all possible. If you're inside a building, try to get out of that building and evacuate, because these aftershocks and the tsunamis, they are the deadly mechanism that comes after this initial 8.9 magnitude quake. So we are continuing to watch this. I'm going to hand it over now to Anna Corrin in Hong Kong. Anna.
Rosemary, thank you very much. Well, let's continue our rolling coverage of this massive earthquake that has hit Japan. Let's now turn to the public broadcaster NHK and listen in.
Off the coast of Miyagi Prefecture, the quake's estimated magnitude has been revised upward to 8.8. The quake caused tremors with an intensity of 7, the maximum level on the Japanese scale of 0 to 7. Strong tremors were also felt in many parts of the country, including Tokyo. A series of tsunamis continued to wash ashore. At a port in Fukushima, a devastating tsunami reached over 7 meters. Major tsunami alerts for waves of over 10 meters remain in place for many other parts of the country. Extensive damage has been reported across Japan after the powerful earthquakes. In Miyagi Prefecture in the north of Japan, buildings and cars have been left submerged in cities hit by repeated tsunamis. Police say an unknown number of people are missing in many cities where tsunami waves up to 7 meters tall swept through low-lying coastal areas. Sendai Airport is also submerged. People are stranded on the rooftops of buildings and runways are closed. Iwate Prefecture in Kamaishi, Iwate Prefecture, an NHK live camera captured a port flooded in seawater. Cars and trucks were floating amid the debris. An NHK helicopter has captured images of an oil refinery in Chiba Prefecture near Tokyo on fire. Black smoke can be seen billowing from the refinery. According to the Nuclear Power Security Agency, the 5 nuclear power plants in northeastern Japan have shut down. There are no reports of radioactive leaks. And as of 6 p.m. Japan time, at least 18 people are confirmed dead. And there...
We've just been watching the public broadcaster NHK there bring us the very latest from that 8.9 magnitude earthquake that struck Japan at 2:46 p.m. local time. It is now just gone at 6 p.m. in Japan, but it was that tsunami, that massive wave that hit the northeast of the country that has caused that massive devastation that we have witnessed. That those pictures of that wall of water just going straight through these cities, these townships, taking cars and trucks and everything in its wake. So that is where the massive devastation is. Well, let's go to our Kyung La, who is in Tokyo. Kyung, you obviously witnessed the quake, but as we mentioned, it's in the northeast that has really been hard hit.
Yeah, Tokyo has a problem right now trying to organize its people, trying to keep the people calm. This is a very dense city. But the immediate emergency is certainly to the north of us. That is very much a rescue operation, trying to get people out of that region and trying to deal with the immediate emergency of this tsunami, trying to contain some of the damage that they've seen, fires, damage to buildings. So it's a very different emergency up north than it is here in Tokyo. I mean, here in Tokyo, we're hearing reports of cracked walls, items that have fallen over and hit people. We have a problem right now with the lack of public transit, so people are just jammed in the city. They're stuck. So it's a very different emergency down in Tokyo than it is up there. Now, we've heard the Prime Minister come on camera and tell people to try to remain calm. That's the most important thing here, at least in the city of Tokyo, and trying to keep all of these millions of people very calm, orderly, and try to get them home in an appropriate manner. But up north, trying to rescue those people, trying to make sure that they are going to survive this crisis, that is a very different situation than it is here in Tokyo.
Yeah, speaking of the area that has been hard hit, Kyung, like Sendai, that's a city of 1 million people, and it was where the quake struck, 130 kilometres from Sendai, where we saw that massive wave just take out the city. I know that we're also talking about a rural area, but we witnessed those pictures of people standing, either on top of their cars or on the side of these highway, witnessing this wall of water just heading towards them. We know, Kyung, the death toll, it really is going to rise quite dramatically.
Where just by watching the local newscast here in the national broadcast, I mean, we're hearing a wide variety of numbers that they're going with as far as casualties and injuries. We simply can't confirm it at this point. But I can tell you that many people are predicting and already reporting that the casualty figures are quite a bit higher than the ones that we have been reporting on our air. And just looking at that wall come through that town, it is not as populated as Tokyo, but this is a populated city. This is a small city known for a fishing community, known as a fishing community. The quake hit right before 3, around 2:40, 2:50. And if you're fishing and you make your living at the docks, it is going to be very busy there. Even if there is a tsunami warning, there wasn't that much time to evacuate. This is, a community which I'm guessing, it's a very educated guess, because people here are used to it. They know that when the tsunami warning comes to evacuate. And so they likely did have some sort of action plan to get out of there. But if you consider it's the middle of the afternoon on a Friday afternoon, this is a country that prides itself on working. Those areas were probably very busy. And so trying to get out of that region very, very quickly was certainly a challenge when this tsunami hit.
Kuang, we know that the military has been activated as well as naval vessels. They have been dispatched to the northeast of the country. No doubt, as you say, there will be a huge rescue operation underway to try and help any of the survivors. But let's now go to our Ivan Cabrera, who has been following this earthquake from the very, very beginning. Ivan.
Absolutely, Anna, and I tell you what I want to do is switch over to our Google Earth machine here, and in fact, let's show you the pictures here. But this is a widespread event now, and we're going to continue to follow this because as we speak, there is a benign rise in the sea level that is occurring across the Pacific. That if you're on a boat out there, you're not going to notice. But as that wave approaches a coastline, that amplitude of the wave becomes higher and higher, and that is where you can get 25, upwards of, my goodness, 50-foot waves crashing on shore. We've already had reports of more than 25-foot waves hitting Japan. So we're going to continue to monitor that as the wave propagates further to the east. And again, this is one tsunami with many, many waves that are coming in. We've already seen that in Japan. Again, let's go through some of the countries here. Essentially, there are over 50 countries now in the Pacific Basin that are under a tsunami warning. That means that we are expecting a tsunami arrival. Over 50 countries in the Pacific. There are watches posted for California, Oregon, and Alaska. The rest of us here are under a tsunami warning.